Okay. Alrighty then. Okay, so the idea is what I was just thinking of. The reason that they make women's clothes different from men's clothes, it's structured. It's what do they call that? A social construct in order to separate men from women. To try and emphasize our differences instead of our similarities, so we'll go to war with each other, because then society is easier to control. It's the same thing as racism. They won't admit it, openly. They'll do it occasionally, where they separate the black people from white people, or just to begin with, so people are easier to control and people are easier to keep poor. Because if men and women, black people and white people got together, we wouldn't have to live like dogs and fight like dogs. And then they go into religion, where you have all of these different religions. They're all created out of Judaism. But all of a sudden you have Catholicism, you have Baptists and Mormons, where when they have their slight differences. So then people are easier to control, because they're at each other's throats. You have the what is that? The Jacobeans or some crap like that. And people changing the rules. I think it was Henry VIII or something like that. He wrote his own Bible. How could you write your own Bible? Nobody even says anything about that. He wrote his own Bible so he can divorce his wife. But thought God wrote the Bible, but nobody debates that. You know why? Because we're all dumbasses. We don't give a crap. We just want to kill, because that's what we've been trained to do. So just like schools, we've been trained to get up in the morning and go home in the evening and just sit there all day. So children aren't actually trained to think on purpose. They're trained to go to work for the rich and the powerful. I mean, it's an excellent scam if you think about it. But it's not so necessarily that we're stupid. We're just taught to be stupid. We're not taught to be smart, because the human brain is malleable and it's easily persuaded. We believe anything that you tell us. I mean, why not? We don't have any proof any other way. We can't corroborate or substantiate or dispute. So when one person hears something, they'll just go off and say that, well, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to tell everybody else that, as if I'm smart, as if I thought of that. Because someone beat that person to it, and they came up with a good idea to scam people. And then they separate people by culture, just by the food that you eat. And what do? We jump on it. We laugh and point at each other. Ha ha, you prepare chicken that way? Or you prepare fish that way? Or you prepare red meat that way? It's all the same. You just use different ingredients, different spices. Some people use turmeric, some people use, what's that other stuff that's supposed to be really good for you? Turmeric and curry. It's supposed to be excellent. Some people in different regions of the world eat different fruit, but someone thought of a way to take advantage of people and use that to separate people. So it's like we're all taught to be morons. But the world will be, look at what's going on now. how they're making up $2 trillion. The reason that they can give out $2 trillion is because it's not real money. But you're being tricked, and everybody goes along with the scam. That's why when you walk down the street, there's no food on the trees, because they've absconded with all the fruit trees. My next door neighbor has grapes growing in his tree. But then my other neighbor says, I said, "Oh wow, you have grapes growing in your trees." But neither of them want it. Neither of them think that's something special. Those morons think that, "Oh, I don't need those. I'll go to the store and buy my grapes." Because they're morons, but they've been trained to be morons. They don't want to go against the grain because they're afraid that someone will make fun of them and tell them that, "Ha ha, you're eating free food. You're stupid. You're poor." Because that's what we've been told to do. And someone said, "Hey, do this," and they believed it. You can't. But how can the King James Bible be taken as the gospel? No pun intended, as it were. That means God didn't write it. So why are people still believing in it? Because we're trained to be damn fools. Because then wouldn't you do it? If you could control people and make people give you money, you could become a king or a queen. I mean, if you look at the Queen of England and the royals, they do nothing. They go around collecting money from people because everyone condones it. Everyone says, "Yeah, that's a royal." Even the people in England that don't appreciate them taking their money, their tax money, and supporting these freeloaders. They're just people. They go poop and wipe their butts and they eat, but they don't care about you because they've been trained not to care about you. So, but this is the perfect example. They just make up this money. They can print money, and they gave people $2 trillion. So, but you can't change it now, though. But it's being changed. So people that live in those buildings, they pay their rent because they don't know how to change. They've only been taught limited amounts of reading, math, and writing. And if they go against the grain, they'll be put in prison. Or they'll be sent off to war. And they'll be murdered. And people will say, "I'll fight for my country. I'll die for my country." You're not fighting or dying for your country. You're dying for that rich person that's outsmarted you. Such is life.